The security gate rolled shut in my face. I sat there in my truck, engine idling, staring at the metal barrier that shouldn't have been there. Behind it stood a woman in a tailored blazer with her arms crossed like she just conquered a small nation. She didn't know I owned the security company she was about to call. And when she found out, the look on her face made every second of this mess worth it. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up to where this whole thing started. 3 weeks earlier, I'd signed the contract to build my company's new headquarters on a commercial lot I'd purchased in Ridgeline Business Park. The property sat at the end of Cascade Drive, a private access road shared by 4 other businesses. My architect had already drawn up plans. My contractors were scheduled to break ground in 10 days. Everything was moving forward exactly as planned until I drove out to the site one Tuesday morning and found a chain-link fence blocking the entrance to Cascade Drive. Not just blocking it, padlocked, with a bright yellow sign zip tied to the gate, private property, no unauthorized access, violators will be prosecuted. I sat there for a full minute, confused, then angry, then deeply annoyed. This was a shared access road. I had every legal right to use it. I'd reviewed the easement agreements myself before purchasing the lot. So I climbed out of my truck, walked up to the gate, and rattled the chain. Solid, professional-grade lock. Someone had planned this. A voice called out from behind me. "Excuse me, can I help you?" I turned. A blonde woman in her early 50s stood near a silver Mercedes parked on the other side of the gate. She wore a blazer sharp enough to cut glass and an expression that suggested she was used to people doing exactly what she told them. "I'm Garrett Cole," I said. "I own the lot at the end of Cascade Drive. I need access." She tilted her head like I just told her I believed in unicorns. "Cascade Drive is restricted," she said. "Business owners only." I am a business owner. She gave me a smile that wasn't a smile at all. "Are you, though? Because I don't recognize you." "And I'm the HOA compliance officer for Ridgeline Business Park." I blinked. "There's an HOA for a business park." "Of course there is," she said, like I'd asked if water was wet. "And as compliance officer, I oversee access control. Cascade Drive has been experiencing unauthorized traffic. We've implemented security measures." I gestured to the gate. "This is my access road. I own property here." "Then you'll need to submit a formal access request," she replied smoothly. "Once your application is reviewed and approved, you'll receive a key code." "How long does that take?" She shrugged. "Depends on the board's schedule. Could be a week, could be a month. I have contractors starting work in 10 days. That's not my concern," she said. "Rules exist for a reason." I felt my jaw tight. "Ma'am, I don't know who you are, but I have legal easement rights to this road. You can't just lock me out." Her smile widened, sharp and cold. "Actually, I can," and I did. She turned and walked back toward her Mercedes like the conversation was over. I stood there, stunned, watching her drive away through the gate she controlled. The audacity was breathtaking, but what bothered me more was the confidence. She wasn't guessing. She believed she had authority, which meant someone had told her she did. I pulled out my phone and called my attorney. Nora Hastings answered on the second ring. "Garrett, what's wrong?" "Someone locked a gate across my access road," I said. "Claims she's the HOA compliance officer." Nora paused. "Ridgeline has an HOA?" "That's what I said." She exhaled. "Send me the property documents. I'll check the filings. If there's an HOA, it should be on record. And if it's not, then she's lying and we'll deal with it accordingly." I hung up and stared at the gate. The padlock gleamed in the morning sun, mocking me. This woman, whoever she was, had just made a very expensive mistake. By the time I got back to my office, Nora had already dug into the county records. She called me within the hour. "Garrett, there's no HOA registered for Ridgeline Business Park." "What? No active filing, no board, no compliance officer." "The park was developed under standard commercial zoning. Shared access roads are governed by recorded easements, not an HOA, so she's lying completely. And if she's restricting access to a road you have legal rights to, that's interference with property rights. Possibly extortion if she's demanding payment." I leaned back in my chair. She didn't ask for money, just said I needed approval. Nora's tone sharpened. "That's control. She's positioning herself as a gatekeeper. People do this when they're trying to force compliance or push someone out." "Why would she want to push me out?" "I don't know, but we need to find out fast. I'll draft a cease and desist letter. In the meantime, don't engage with her. Document everything." I hung up and pulled up the security footage from my truck's dash cam. Clear shots of the gate, the sign, and the woman's face. I saved the file and backed it up twice. If this was going to be a fight, I'd make sure I had ammunition. The next morning, I drove back to Cascade Drive. The gate was still locked, but this time a white sedan sat parked beside it. A man in his 60s stepped out as I approached. He wore khakis and a polo shirt with a Ridgeline Business Park logo embroidered on the chest. "You Garrett Cole?" he asked. "I am." He extended a hand. "Martin Voss. I own the print shop 2 lots down from yours. I heard about the gate situation. Word travels fast." Martin grimaced. "Carol doesn't do subtle." Carol Brennan, the woman who put up the gate, she's been here about 6 months, bought the office building at the front of the park and immediately started acting like she runs the place." "Does she?" Martin laughed bitterly. "Not legally, but she's loud, aggressive, and persistent. A lot of folks just go along with her to avoid the hassle." "What's her angle?" Martin shrugged. "Control maybe, or she's trying to drive property values down so she can buy more lots cheap. Either way, she's made life miserable for everyone here." I looked at the gate. "How'd she get this installed?" Martin hesitated. "She told the other owners it was for security, said we'd been having break-ins. A few people believed her and chipped in for the fence. By the time the rest of us found out, it was already up." And the lock, that's all her. She's the only one with the code. I felt my anger simmer, so she's holding everyone hostage. Pretty much, Martin said, but you're the first person who's pushed back. Good, because I'm not playing her game. Martin grinned. I was hoping you'd say that. If you need a witness or documentation, let me know. I've been keeping records. I shook his hand. I'll take you up on that. As I drove away, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Mr. Cole, this is Carol Brennan. I understand you're upset about the access restrictions. Let's meet tomorrow at 10 a.m. to discuss your concerns. My office, Suite 101. I stared at the message. She was trying to control the narrative, set the terms, make me come to her. I didn't respond. Instead, I forwarded the text to Nora. Her reply came fast. Don't go alone. If you meet her, I'm coming with you. The next morning, Nora and I arrived at Suite 101. The office was pristine, expensive furniture, glass desk, motivational posters about leadership. Carol sat behind the desk like a CEO. She stood when we entered, extending her hand. Mr. Cole, thank you for coming. I didn't shake her hand. This is my attorney, Nora Hastings. Carol's smile tightened. I wasn't aware we needed lawyers. We don't, Nora said smoothly. But since you're restricting my client's legal property access, I thought it best to ensure everything stays professional. Carol gestured to the chairs. Please sit. We remained standing. Ms. Brennan, I said, you've locked a gate across a road I have easement rights to. I need that gate opened. Carol folded her hands. Mr. Cole, I understand your frustration, but Ridgeline operates under community standards. We can't just let anyone drive through. I'm not anyone. I own property here. She tilted her head. Do you? Because I reviewed the lot records and your purchase hasn't been finalized. My chest tightened. That's a lie. Carol slid a printed document across the desk. According to county records, your sale is pending final approval. Until then, you're not technically an owner. Nora picked up the paper, scanned it, and set it down. This document is outdated. Mr. Cole's purchase closed 2 weeks ago. The deed is recorded. Carol's smile didn't falter. Then there must be a filing delay. Regardless, access to Cascade Drive requires HOA approval. There is no HOA, Nora said firmly. We've checked. Carol's eyes narrowed. Then you didn't check thoroughly enough. She opened a binder and pulled out a stack of papers. Articles of incorporation, bylaws, board minutes, all filed and legal. Nora took the documents and flipped through them. Her expression didn't change, but I saw the slight tightening around her eyes. Ms. Brennan, these documents reference an HOA that dissolved in 2019. Carol leaned back. We reinstated it. Nora looked up. Reinstating an HOA requires a vote of all property owners and new filings with the county. Where are those records? Carol's smile grew thinner. They're being processed. Convenient, I said. Carol's gaze snapped to me. Mr. Cole, I'm trying to help you, but if you insist on being difficult, I'll have no choice but to enforce compliance measures. What does that mean? She stood. It means you'll remain locked out until you follow proper procedures. Nora stepped forward. Ms. Brennan, restricting access to a shared easement without legal authority is actionable. If that gate isn't opened by tomorrow, we'll file an injunction. Carol didn't blink. Do what you have to do. We left. Outside, Nora exhaled sharply. She's running a scam, a detailed one. Those documents looked real. They were real, Nora said, but they're from a dissolved HOA. She's trying to resurrect something that no longer exists and hoping no one calls her bluff. So what do? We go to court. Fast. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Carol's confidence, the binder, the fake authority. She'd built an entire facade and it was working. But something about it felt personal, like she wasn't just controlling access. She was targeting me specifically. The next morning, I called Martin Voss. Martin, did Carol ever block anyone else's access? He hesitated. Not like this. She's made threats, filed complaints, but nothing this aggressive. Why now? I don't know, he admitted, but there's something you should know. What? Carol's been talking to a developer, big company out of Denver. They've been buying up commercial lots around the state. You think she's trying to sell? Martin's voice dropped. I think she's trying to force you to sell, to her or to them. The pieces clicked into place. If Carol could make my property inaccessible, she could tank its value. Then she or her developer friends could swoop in and buy it cheap. It was a land grab dressed up as HOA enforcement. I called Nora immediately. She's trying to devalue my property so someone else can buy it. Nora swore softly. That's conspiracy to commit fraud. If we can prove it, she's facing serious charges. How do we prove it? We need a connection between her and the developer. Emails, contracts, anything that shows coordination. I thought for a moment, I might know someone who can help. That afternoon, I visited my company's IT director, Sam Ortiz. Sam had worked for me for 5 years, handling everything from network security to digital forensics. If anyone could dig up Carol's connections, it was him. Sam, I need a favor. Looked up from his monitors. What kind of favor? The legal kind. I explained the situation. Sam's expression darkened. You think she's working with a developer to steal your land? That's the theory. Sam cracked his knuckles. Let me see what I can find. By evening, Sam called me into his office. He had 3 monitors open, each displaying different records. Garrett, your instincts were right. He pointed to the first screen. Carol Brennan purchased her property 6 months ago through an LLC. That LLC is partially funded by Mountain Ridge Development. The Denver company? Yep, and get this, he switched to the second monitor. Mountain Ridge has been buying up distressed commercial properties across the region. They target lots with access issues, environmental complaints, anything that tanks value. Then they buy cheap and flip. I stared at the screen, and Carol's creating the access issues. Exactly, Sam said, she's the fixer. She moves in, causes problems, and when owners get desperate, Mountain Ridge swoops in. He pulled up the third screen, and here's the smoking gun, an email from Carol to a Mountain Ridge exec. Subject line, Cascade Drive target. I leaned closer. The email detailed my property, the planned construction, and a timeline for blocking access. It ended with a single line, owner will fold within 30 days. Estimated acquisition cost 60% below market. My blood ran cold. She'd planned this from the start. Sam saved the files. This is enough for a lawsuit, maybe even criminal charges. Send everything to Nora, I said, and Sam, thank you, he grinned, anytime. The next morning, Nora filed an emergency injunction. By noon, we were in front of Judge Raymond Collier. Carol sat across the aisle with her attorney, a sharp-eyed man in an expensive suit. Judge Collier reviewed the filings, then looked up. Ms. Brennan, you've restricted access to a shared roadway. On what legal basis? Carol's attorney stood. Your Honor, my client is the compliance officer for Ridgeline Business Park HOA. She's enforcing community standards. Judge Collier frowned. I see no active HOA registration for Ridgeline. Nora stood. That's because there isn't one, Your Honor. The HOA Ms. Brennan references dissolved in 2019. She's fabricated authority. Carol's attorney objected. Your Honor, the HOA was reinstated. We have documentation. Nora handed the judge a folder. Your Honor, those documents are from the dissolved HOA. No reinstatement vote occurred. No new filings exist. Ms. Brennan is operating under false pretenses. Judge Collier flipped through the folder. His expression hardened. Ms. Brennan, did you file new incorporation documents? Carol's attorney whispered to her. She hesitated. The process is ongoing. Judge Collier's gaze sharpened. So no. Carol's face flushed. Your Honor, this is a procedural delay. Authority exists. No, Nora interrupted. It doesn't. And we have evidence Ms. Brennan is colluding with a development company to devalue my client's property for acquisition. She submitted Sam's findings, emails, financial records, the timeline. Judge Collier read in silence. The courtroom was so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat. Finally, the judge looked up. Ms. Brennan, these emails suggest you knowingly restricted access to harm Mr. Cole's property value. Carol's attorney stood quickly. Your Honor, those emails are taken out of context. Judge Collier raised a hand. I'll determine context. He turned to me. Mr. Cole, you own the property at the end of Cascade Drive? Yes, Your Honor. And you have recorded easement rights to access it? Yes. Judge Collier looked at Carol. Ms. Brennan, you will remove the gate immediately. Open access to Cascade Drive within 24 hours. Carol's attorney protested. Your Honor, my client has security concerns. Then she can install cameras, Judge Collier said sharply, but she cannot block legal access. Furthermore, I'm referring this matter to the district attorney for investigation into fraud and conspiracy. Carol went pale. Her attorney whispered urgently, but she didn't respond. Judge Collier banged his gavel. Injunction granted. Court adjourned. As we left, Carol stood frozen, staring at the floor. Her carefully constructed scheme had collapsed in under an hour. Outside, Nora smiled. That was faster than I expected. I exhaled. It's not over yet. She's still got the developer backing her. Nora's smile faded. True, but now they know we're not backing down. By the next morning, the gate was gone. The chain link fence had been removed, the padlock discarded. Cascade Drive was open. I drove through slowly, savoring the moment. When I reached my lot, Martin Voss was waiting. He grinned. Heard you won. News travels fast. He laughed. Carol's been radio silent. I think she's lawyering up. Good, let her. Martin's expression turned serious. Garrett, thank you. A lot of us were too scared to fight her. You're welcome, but this isn't just about me. It's about making sure people like her don't get away with it. Martin nodded. Amen to that. That afternoon, I received a call from an unknown number. Mr. Cole, this is David Kramer. I'm the regional director for Mountain Ridge Development. I didn't respond immediately. Mr. Cole, I'd like to discuss a resolution. There's nothing to discuss. I think there is. We're prepared to make a very generous offer for your property. I smiled coldly. Not interested. Mr. Cole, be reasonable. You've made your point. Now let's move forward professionally. Professionally, I repeated. You colluded with Carol Brennan to tank my property value so you could steal it. That's not professional. That's criminal. Kramer's tone hardened. Careful, Mr. Cole. Accusations like that have consequences. So do conspiracies, I said. And I have the emails to prove it. Silence. Then Kramer spoke quietly. What do you want? I want you to leave me alone, and I want Carol Brennan prosecuted. Kramer exhaled. We'll withdraw from Ridgeline. Carol's on her own. Good, I hung up. 2 weeks later, the district attorney filed charges against Carol Brennan. Fraud, conspiracy, and interference with property rights. Her developer friends had abandoned her, and her fake HOA collapsed under scrutiny. I stood on my lot watching the construction crew break ground. The foundation was going in. My company's headquarters was finally becoming real. Martin walked over, hands in his pockets. Feels good, doesn't it? I nodded. Yeah, it does. He grinned. You know, folks around here are calling you the guy who took down the HOA Karen. I laughed. I just wanted my gate opened. Well, you did more than that. You showed people they don't have to roll over. I looked across the business park. Carol's office sat empty now, windows dark. She tried to control everything and lost it all. Justice wasn't always loud, but when it came, it was absolute. If you've ever had someone try to block your path with fake authority, drop a comment so others know they're not alone. And if you like stories where the truth wins, go ahead and subscribe. There's more coming.